Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan B. Butler, author of A Saga on Home Video, which you can find on Amazon at this point. I promise I'm only going to plug those on the episodes where there's some big release that might be drawing new eyes. It's okay. This time we're continuing our look at some new releases out of the US for Star Wars in recent memory. We looked at Heroes of the Empire, a documentary 2 episodes ago. Last episode we looked at the 4K and Blu-ray releases of Andor, and in the relatively near future, when it finally freaking arrives, we'll look at the newest release on Blu-ray for Hardware Wars. This time, though, we are taking a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. And the copies I got, one of each, were actually from Disney Movie Club. And as I discussed last time, Disney Movie Club is ending. It'll cease operations near the end of July 2024, which raised the question of whether Disney Movie Club would have its own exclusive version of Obi-Wan Kenobi, like they did with Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. Same question was raised about Andor, and unfortunately, just like with Andor, no. Whereas Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2 got a Blu-ray/DVD exclusive version through Disney Movie Club, no such thing existed for Obi-Wan or Andor. It's just the same releases you would get anywhere else, except, in the case of Kenobi at least, you get a little mini-lithograph, as we've seen with other releases. And just like with Mandalorian with Seasons 1 and 2, when 2 were released at the same time, only 1 got the litho. Same thing here. Andor did not get one. We will see that Obi-Wan did. So what we're going to look at here are the 2 US releases of Obi-Wan and the little mini-litho from Disney Movie Club. And eventually we will look at the releases of Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi from the UK. But they are being released later and they are being staggered. So we'll see them, but it'll be a little bit before we do. I didn't want to show you here, though, covering up the address and all that, but Disney Movie Club actually used Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series, as its little featured title in what I guess is its last mailing. Obi-Wan Kenobi embarks on a crucial mission. Sigh. And then there's a picture of the litho you can get, member exclusive. Look inside for a collectible lithograph offer. And they did sort of focus on it here. Says, your final featured title offer. First time on 4K, UHD, and Blu-ray. Coming soon. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. It says, order your final featured title by May 13. It does have the stuff down here. New collector's edition includes steelbook packaging and concept art cards, limited quantities. The complete series has the different stats and whatnot there in the copyright. Free collectible lithograph when you order your featured title on DisneyMovieClub.com through May 13. Member exclusive offer. And then, the legalese and stuff to go with that. So Obi-Wan gets to be the last of the featured titles and doesn't get a special version of it. But let's dive into taking a look at what we do get for Obi-Wan, which I think right now is probably my second favorite Star Wars live-action series after Andor. When I did the rankings, I was doing it by seasons, and I believe I put Mandalorian Season 2 ahead of Obi-Wan. Rewatching Obi-Wan, knowing a bit more about Reva as a character, I think I actually like Obi-Wan more than Mando Season 2 at this point, but it really kind of depends on what's hitting me at the time. And yes, her name is Reva. I constantly say Reva because of Sheva Alomar in Resident Evil 5 screwing up my ability to ever say something that is EVA correctly ever again, apparently. So here we go. The complete series on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray for Obi-Wan. So we have our steelbook here with our J-card. Notice the J-card in this case is just a straight cut. It's not like that sort of curving thing to go along with the image over here. So it's a little cleaner looking, in my opinion, here on Obi-Wan. Actually, a little bit more UK-esque, right? Because the UK, they would have probably put some, parts over here to make it a cup to stick it in, but very similar in that regard. We're going to go ahead and just take this out of here and look at the J-card first. So there's an image of the open steelbook and the art cards, but no discs. Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series, collector's edition, 4K Ultra HD, includes bonus extras and concept art cards, very similar to what we just saw with Andor. Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. On the back, similar design again to Andor, collector's edition, 4K Ultra HD, the complete series, image there of the steelbook, the cards, and the discs. a list of what is on each disc. This is a 6-episode series as opposed to 12 for Andor, so 2 discs this time, not 3. Information on the never-before-seen bonus extras, which we will talk about in turn here in a moment. Information about being able to play 4K and whatnot, your legalese, Disney logo, all that good stuff, UPC up at the top, kind of standard stuff you'd expect from a J-card. And then your actual steelbook. I really like this design. So first off, it is slick, it is glossy, right? We're probably going to find that the ones from the UK, if it's anything like Mandalorian, are matte. The US ones are glossy. So we have Obi-Wan and Vader there with the blades. We have Obi-Wan with Leia there. Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. Just a nice clean look there. The spine, Ultra HD Blu-ray, Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Notice here, it doesn't say the complete series anywhere. But because it's the complete series and not a separate season that will then have following seasons also released, there's no number here either. So it just says Obi-Wan Kenobi, because that's just the name of the freaking show. Then on the back, Obi-Wan there on the Eope, on Tatooine, right there. Now, I guess technically it's sort of a continuous image, because Obi-Wan's cloak turns into the rock face. Yeah, it works, but it's an odd continuous image. Might as well have made them separate images, but whatever. It does lead to a cool looking back, I guess, and a really cool looking front. And yes, the legalese and Lucasfilm logos down here are all in that muted, very dark gray color. My guess is we will see on the UK one that they will be bright white, as we saw with Mandalorian. Inside, as already hinted at by that image of the interior that we just saw on the J card, we have this shot here inside. Okay, Steelbook's always having that cool art on the inside. Notice here, by the way, since it's only 2 discs, like what we saw with Mando, place for discs and a nice place for the art cards to slide in. You don't need to be careful of the prongs like you would for Andor with it being 3 discs. We'll look at the art cards in just a second. Again, same design as we saw for Mando Seasons 1 and 2 and for Andor Season 1, where in the US it's sort of one color, and then the actual words and art are kind of more just removing the color, so you see the silver underneath for silhouettes and whatnot. So we have Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. Got Obi-Wan over there off to the side here, holding either a lightsaber or a really rugged-looking stick. Legalese around the edges, disc number, episode numbers. Then underneath here, you got 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, Lucasfilm, the tech thing here, region ABC, and Dolby Atmos. This is episodes 1 through 3 and the bonus features with one exception that we'll talk about. Then similar design for disc 2, episodes 4 through 6. Vader there holding either, again, a lightsaber or a rugged little stick. You know, downside of being a silhouette. It could just be a stick. And then on this, you got, like I said, episodes 4 through 6, but also one bonus feature. And that is because the bonus feature that is on here that we haven't really seen a lot in recent Star Wars memory is actually an audio commentary. There's an audio commentary on here by Deborah Chow, but just Deborah Chow, for episode 6 of the series. So you can watch episode 6 with Deborah Chow's audio commentary. And one thing I really appreciate is that not only do you have you have different audio options and whatnot, but you have English audio, and you turn on the English subtitles to watch the show. You can also turn on her English language commentary track, or turn on a subtitle track of the commentary. So you can be watching and listening to the show with her commentary just as text, or with her commentary as audio, or you could switch those up. I like the ability to have that kind of versatility to it. So if I'm listening to her talk and I want to know exactly what's being said on screen, I can maybe have the subtitles on for the show while listening to her audio and so on. Kind of a cool feature there that we don't see a lot of times with audio commentaries. Usually the audio commentary is just the audio. There's not a subtitle version of the audio commentary with your ability to mix and match. Inside we do have those concept art cards. We have Vader coming off of the shuttle there. Obi-Wan briefly holding back the water. And then we've got Leia there with, I guess it's supposed to be Bail, right there looking out on Alderaan. For those who are wondering, because it may come up when looking at the UK ones, this is 8102424, and it does have the legalese stuff down here. The numbers were different when we looked at the UK ones for Mando, so again, kind of heading that off at the pass to mention it here. Then we have the Blu-ray version of the same, essentially the same setup here. Here we have, again, an image of the steelbook open and the art cards, but no discs, so I guess you could, use them for either. You have Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series. Collector's Edition Blu-ray includes bonus extras and concept art cards. A similar back with a different image for the different discs here, of course. Same breakdown of episodes, same bonus features, getting information about it, all that stuff. No 4K bar here, but otherwise essentially set up in similar fashion. The steelbook itself, effectively identical with the exception of having Blu-ray on the spine rather than 4K Ultra HD. The art cards are again the same. The art inside the steelbook is the same. What is different, of course, is the color, symbols, and resolution of the discs themselves. The Blu-ray HD discs are yellow, our Jedi symbol there, but laid out similarly. Boy, it's going to be hard to show you this. Try to get that good reflection. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series, it still has disc whatever, episodes whatever, then a Blu-ray symbol, then Lucasfilm, then your technical stuff there with ABC and Dolby Audio down here, audio instead of Atmos, and legalese around the corner. And you have your cog here for disc 2. Boy, that is tough to see because it's yellow with silver. Easier to see with a naked eye than it is on a camera. As to the mini lithograph, before we look at bonus features, that is this here. It's again in one of those white envelopes, Disney Movie Club. You know, Disney's lithograph collection is commissioned exclusively for the Disney Movie Club. Each lithograph is part of a collectible series and available for a limited time only. Damn right it's limited, as Marcus Burnett from Bad Boys would say, because Disney Movie Club is ending. And the envelope is still copyright 2021. But the actual litho, nothing on the back, is this. That shot there. Disney Movie Club in the corner, series name down in the corner with a little 2024 copyright there. And it is slightly embossed around the frame edges. You can see it a little bit more when you see the other side of the embossing on the back. And yes, each copy ordered from Disney Movie Club would get these, so one for each. But let's talk bonus features here. Andor had about 40 minutes of bonus features, all running together, where if you watched them, it took you through the locations of the series from start to finish, kind of full circle back to Ferrix, and had the Andor Declassified logo at the end that showed you that, oh, these seemingly disconnected featurettes are actually meant not just to follow a theme in general, but to be part of one whole. Not so for Obi-Wan. These are 3 separate featurettes not meant to be considered one whole at all. The first one is Duels of Fate, Obi-Wan versus Vader, talking about the fighting choreography and whatnot, the emotional impact of it and whatnot, trying to bring them together and thinking about their previous fights. I do like the idea that they talk about kind of the passion versus calm angle and trying to use this to kind of bridge things. That the battle in Revenge of the Sith is very passionate on both sides. It is very fast, it's very frenetic. When you get to A New Hope, it's a much more deliberate, slower, calmer fight, and Obi-Wan is much more calm in the fight itself, kind of having accepted how things must be or will be. And that essentially what we wanted to see here, according to the creators, is kind of a midpoint in between, how to get from point A to point B, from episode 3 to episode 4, not just in terms of the characters' interactions, but the feel of the fight, where they are emotionally in the fight, and how that translates into their movements, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's interesting, by the way, in this and in some of the Andor footage here of when this was all being made, that, you know, we're in the era in which this period of behind-the-scenes footage for movies is going to tend to have people wearing COVID-related masks a lot of the time, which is, if there's anything that's going to mark a period piece or put a timestamp on when something was being created in modern day, that is one of the things that will certainly put a timestamp on any behind the scenes footage that we see. I don't know what behind the footage would be. Would that be behind the scenes of behind the scenes? Behind the scenes? Way behind the scenes? Maybe I should just stop and keep talking about the special features. The next one is The Dark Times, Villains, which is actually a pretty cool little featurette focusing on Vader, focusing on the Inquisitors and so forth, on Reva. It's the first one, that Duels of Fate, was about 11 or 12 minutes long. This one also is about 11 or 12 minutes long. I will say that one thing I really do like about this one is sort of the focus on designs and whatnot, with like designing Reva, designing the fifth brother to go from animation to go to live action. They do talk about how these Inquisitors began back in Rebels, but you needed someone to be an antagonist. Not just Vader, to really keep the suspense up for Vader himself. and an interesting take on the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor, to me, looks weird in Obi-Wan. To a lot of fans, looks weird in Obi-Wan, because when we saw him in Rebels, he was very narrow, tall-faced, and we saw that same design in, like, the Darth Vader comics and whatnot, and we've seen that kind of design back in Revenge of the Sith with the same species here. But what they say in there is that what they considered in the design was that it was the opposite of the way it happened in the real world. Instead of thinking of it as, and yes, I did just smack my nose, instead of thinking of it as, here we are creating a live-action version of this person from animation, it was, animation is stylized, this is the real guy, and what we saw in Rebels was a stylized version of it. I guess I can sort of accept that as a rationale. I still wonder why they didn't go with something a little bit more Revenge of the Sith-esque in terms of designing his head, but whatever. Sure, why not? They do talk a lot about the stagecraft, the volume, which I still think is an amazing, amazing piece of technology myself. They talk about the tank that we see Anakin in, and the fact that basically Hayden Christensen did a lot of like breath-holding exercises to be able to actually do that in camera and whatnot. They talk a lot about the design of a lot of the sets and whatnot. The fact that when Vader comes on screen for one of the first times walking through the town, they were actually playing his theme, like, and playing the Imperial March and whatnot, like playing music over speakers on set. And in fact, they mentioned that a few times about playing music on set to kind of build the mood and whatnot here. And something I hadn't actually thought about before that they mentioned in this one is the idea of a movement coordinator, not a choreographer. Not like a fight choreographer or a dance choreographer, but a movement coordinator. Like, how do you express emotion with Vader and make sure this character's movements are in sync with the type of movements we've seen from Vader and his personality in other media? Well, one way to do that is you take Vader, you study him, and you have a movement coordinator there to help guide the action. I hadn't really thought about a movement coordinator before. But good stuff, fun stuff. They talk about the Fortress Inquisitoris and how it had appeared in Jedi Fallen Order and how they kind of used that as the basis of how they eventually went and built the sets out and so forth. So pretty good one there. Get about 11 to 12 minutes for that one. And then also clocking in at 11 minutes, we have Designing the Galaxy, which is basically just, design work, right? How do you go from like concept art to a practical design to get it onto the screen and so forth? They look at Tatooine, they look at Alderaan, they look at Dayu. They look actually at Haja's fake lightsaber, which is actually a lightsaber that the prop master made when he was younger, just for fun. And it looked the part, so they actually worked it into the show, which I thought was cool. They do one from Apuzo. They talk about how Zach Braff got brought in. They do a section on Jabim, and they focus on KP1 coming from the droid design contest that they did. Just kind of a neat little, smattering of different design discussions. And I must say, between this and things like I think he may have played a role with Andor. I know for sure it was coming up with Obi-Wan a lot. But I gotta say, Doug Chiang is amazing. He was amazing in the prequel era. Doug Chiang has like grown in terms of his influence and just how critical he is to the look and feel of what makes Star Wars Star Wars. So it's so cool to get to actually hear him talking about some of these newer shows that he's had a hand in helping to design. So good stuff there. Again, substantial, good, fun to watch, behind the scenes stuff that we don't tend to get in large doses in terms of most Star Wars releases. These feel more substantial than some of the other stuff that we've gotten in recent memory. Certainly feels more substantial, I believe is more substantial, than what we got, say, on Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. So, really good stuff, fun stuff, and a really solid series, especially once you've seen it once, you know where Reva's going, so you, I almost said Reva again. You know where Reva's going, so that basically when you rewatch it, it makes a little bit more sense, some of the choices that the actress is making. Yeah, definitely a great Star Wars series, in my humble opinion. I will be rewatching it again probably soon, but if you want to watch it at home, there are now 2 different versions to get in the US. You have a 4K version, you have a Blu-ray version. Either one has the same content, it's just a question of resolution, and if you get them from Disney Movie Club, I hope at least right now you'll still manage to get a copy of that mini lithograph to go with it. Just know there is no exclusive version. If you're wanting to hold out for a Blu-ray and 4K version together for this or for Andor, the UK has those coming, and we'll be taking a look at those soon when they do eventually arrive. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.